to my floor. I'm down here because I'm doing something kind of weird today, which is making a pair of spats to go with my 1890s cycling outfit. I am obsessed with these cyclists of this period. I want to be a Kate Beaton comic, like, come to life. And I already have part of the outfit, but what I don't have are some kicky little spats to go over my shoes. Now, I think typically they probably would have been wearing boots for the most part with this outfit, but I don't have boots, but I do have these beautiful American Duchess shoes. This is the Bernadette style, and while it does feel like a crime basically to cover these up with a pair of spats, I do want to keep rocks out of my shoes, which is what spats are for. They sort of protect your shoes from getting gunk in them and getting really dirty, and your stockings, of course. So we're gonna try something. Now, I don't actually know what I'm doing, so I'm sort of making this up as I go along, and I'm going to try to make up this pattern using plastic wrap. I just thought, well, this is a way I can get the shape of my ankle and leg, like, okay. Oh, and then I have a Sharpie. So I have my shoes, I have my saran wrap, I have a pair of scissors that I can use on plastic, and I have nothing to lose, basically. All right, I think it's important to do the pattern over whatever shoes you're gonna wear because obviously they're gonna change the shape of your feet. I'm just gonna pull out this roll of plastic wrap and just start wrapping. Okay. So it's really important to get the actual shape of the foot curve of the shoe itself, since the spats will sort of come around this area. Have like a little point. All right, I'm just gonna do a few more layers for security. I have my basic shape here. You can see I have the shoe totally covered. And now I'm gonna take my Sharpie and I'm gonna draw in the edges of this pattern. I'm just gonna draw in the basic outline of where these spats are gonna go. Ooh, careful. God, I hope I don't draw on these shoes. I'm gonna give them a cute little point on the front. How am I gonna draw on the back of my foot? All right, this edge is sort of precarious here. All right, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna close these with hooks and eyes, so I'm just gonna draw a line where I'm gonna have them close when I'm wearing them. And then I'm gonna draw a line around the cap. I'm gonna have them do a little cute point at the top here as well. And I'll be able to even this all up a little bit. Oh boy, this is imprecise. Holy smokes. I'm also going to draw a line at the center back for my own knowledge. And this is where I'm going to cut this off of me. Now let's cut this sucker off. This is why it's good to wear things that fit you tightly, because you know you're not going to be cutting any fabric, hopefully. Oh, this is still scary. What am I doing? Okay, be very careful around this area here. And it don't matter if the bottoms are scratched up. All right, I think this is the pattern. Is this gonna work? Okay, here's my foot. It just looks like when you were a kid and you had a cast taken off. I'm gonna go ahead and try to transfer this plastic mold of my foot and leg into a pattern on a piece of pattern paper. So good luck, you. Good luck, future tailor. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully try to cut this out without losing all my layers of saran wrap. Something that I should have done is drawn a center front seam, because there'll have to be a center front seam in this to make sure you get the curve proper. So now I'm just gonna mush this whole thing into a flat-ish thing. Ooh. I'm gonna draw in center front seam. I'm also gonna mark these pattern pieces. Oh, I'm making such a mess because the Sharpie doesn't dry out on the plastic, so just, you know, be careful. Okay, so I have my two main pieces, and then I'm gonna cut this one down this line, and these will be the inner pieces where they're gonna actually connect. So I think that this is the pattern of my foot. I'm gonna try to put these onto paper so they're a little bit more stable and I can manipulate them a little bit easier. So I need to kind of mush these so they get the proper flare. So I'm gonna do a quick trace of the actual pattern itself. Last one. This is theoretically a really simple project because there aren't that many pieces to it. Now I just need to go in and add 1/2 inch of seam allowance to every piece. All right, I officially have my 3 pieces cut out. So this is the center front, center back, and then this is the section that the hooks and eyes are going to go on. Now, because I have no idea if this is going to work, I'm gonna cut this out of just some cheap mock-up fabric and sew it together and just kind of see if it looks like it's maybe going to work before I actually cut out my beautiful wool that I only have a little bit of. One other thing that I should point out. I don't know if I should be cutting this with the bias going up and down or if I should cut it with the bias at an angle so it's stretchier. So I'm actually gonna cut out one of each style and see which one looks like it's gonna fit better. Okay, they are on and they're okay. Well, one of them is. Let's take a look, shall we? This is the bias pair, and this is the straight grain pair. The bias pair is no good. It's just way too wobbly and wonky. The straight grain pair is better. You can see it has nice fitting here, but it's a little bit too big, particularly in the foot area. So what I'm gonna do is actually pin in this back section a little bit more, which will make everything just a bit more snug. So I'm gonna take that in and sew it down and then try it on. All right, now we are talking. This will be the center, so I just have it pinned closed now, but it's gonna close with hooks and eyes. You can see the fitting on the back is much nicer, and once again, when I have the strap on the bottom, that's all gonna be a little bit more rigid. Ooh, these look good. Spats. All right, so this is the final version versus the original version. This one's a little different because somehow I've already lost this other one, but this is what it looked like. So you can see that I made a few changes. Primarily, I made this sharper. I also had to move some fabric over on this side to curve around my calf better, and I played with some of the angles of the front points and everything. So I did have to play with it a little bit just to make sure that everything was lined up properly. I did a second mock-up of this one to get these changes, and this is the final version. So pretty darn close from the original, considering it was just done with saran wrap. All right, so the next step is gonna be to cut this out of the actual fashion fabric that I'm gonna use for this project. Here's the fabric I'm gonna be using for the spats themselves. This is actually remnants of a waistcoat that I made to go with my adventuring outfit, so this is what's left over. It's a really beautiful heavyweight wool broadcloth that I got from Burnley and Trowbridge. One thing that's really great about it is, first of all, it has just really nice body because it's coat weight wool, but it also holds an edge really nicely. So I don't have to worry about, you know, doing any kind of extra hemming or fancy seams or anything like that. I'll be able to leave these seams raw, and this will just kind of stand up to it. So it's gonna make it easier in the long run for me to make and deal with, which is really nice because it'll make it a super quick project. And I'm just really happy that I'm finally getting to use up this like half yard that I have left over that I've been sort of sitting on ever since I made my waistcoat. Now we get to have spats that match my waistcoat. Oh, so fancy. I cannot wait. These just got sewn together with my machine, and then I notched all of the curves. I sewed up all the seams except the instep, which is where it's going to fasten. I pinned them together over my shoes and evened up the mismatched interior edge, as well as where the edges needed to meet once they were closed. I just marked this off with a chalk pencil. I also took this time to measure the stirrup, which will go under the shoe. I'm using a length of sturdy linen tape that I got from Burnley and Trowbridge. It's pinned on to one side, and then I'm marking where it needs to end on the instep. I do wish I had raised this up a little bit more to make it more of a decorative element, because this ended up being so low on my foot that it's hard to see, but I'll just remember that for next time. Following my marking lines, I folded under one edge so that it makes a flap over the other side. I'm doing this to give it a cleaner, sturdier finish, but as a reminder, I did not finish the hems or seams on this at all because of the wool I'm using. But if you needed to put in hems, this would be the time to do it. I finished the edge by putting in 2 rows of stitching. At this point, I also sewed down one edge of the stirrup by machine and then covered it up with a bone button. I wish I had a bigger one to cover up the whole edge, but this was all I had on hand. Now for the closures. I used brass hooks and eyes just because I liked how they looked with this. I wanted to use big ones down the whole length, but I didn't have enough and I was on a 1-day deadline to finish these, so I couldn't get any more. I used the bigger ones towards the top and the smaller ones towards the bottom, and I sewed everything on by hand. Once they were all sewn on, I attached the other side of the stirrup using the same method as before. To be honest, I kind of can't get over how well this worked. I mean, the pattern was pretty darn easy to make, and the actual spats themselves were an incredibly fast and simple project, and I cannot describe how much I love them. I think these are like the perfect finishing touch to this outfit, and they added a lot of, I don't know, moxie. I really had a lot of fun wearing them with this outfit. And this pattern will be so easy to play with to make them longer, more decorative, change the closure location and use buttons or a zipper or something else. There is just so much potential variety. Now that you've seen how easy they are to make, I hope this video will inspire you to make some spats of your own, and I would love to see them. Spats for everyone! Hurrah! Oh boy. I hope this doesn't put me in some sort of weird foot algorithm. I have no idea if this is gonna work. I guess if it doesn't, nobody will ever see this video, so who cares? Oh my god, this is definitely gonna be on some weird fetish website. What am I doing? I don't even know how this is gonna work. Step aside, Pops.